Namaskar, friends. This is AIBE 06 set A. First one, the Criminal Procedure Code ensures the principle of separation of powers of each of the state is not breached. Section 6 of the CRPC defines classes of criminal codes. Third one, when an offense is bailable, a person has right to be released on bail upon arrest. As per 273 of the CRPC, having evidence is to be taken. It is to be taken in the presence of accused, when personal attendance of the accused is dispensed with, in the presence of his pleader, in presence of police. If a woman sentenced to death is found to be pregnant, High Court shall order the execution of sentence. If things fit, commute the sentence to imprisonment for life. Under which section of the CRPC the procedure of investigation cannot be completed within 24 hours has been described in section 167. What is provided by CRPC 1973? The code provides the procedure for implementation of criminal judicial system. It provides the mechanism for the investigation in trial into trial of offences. As per section 2C, a cognizable offence is where a police officer may arrest without warrant. Section 100 of the CRPC refers to search. Is there any maximum period for which an untrial can be detained under section 436 of the 436A of the CRPC? Yes, half of the maximum period of imprisonment specified for that offense. Okay, the presumption of law is mandatory and irrebuttable. In Selvi's case, Supreme Court of India examined the constitutionality of tests like narcoanalysis, polygraph, and brain mapping on the touchstones of Article 20, subsection 3, and Article 21. According to the Law Commission of the India 69th report, Section 27 of the Indian Evidence Act is based on doctrine of confirmation. 14th. Section 19 of the Indian Evidence Act says persons who are not parties to a document or their representatives in interest may give evidence of the facts tending to show a contemporaneous agreement varying the terms of the document. This is based on the principle of pacta terti nec nocent NCC procent. Burden of proving that person is alive who has not been heard of 7 years is on whom? One who affirms it. Court's discretion to permit leading questions. I confine only to matters which are introductory fact, undisputed facts, facts already sufficiently proved to the satisfaction of court. The question is whether A murdered B. Marks on the ground produced by A by a struggle at or near the place where murder was committed are relevant facts under Section 7. Section 93 of the Indian Evidence Act treats the patent ambiguity as incurable. A promise or set of promise forming consideration to each other is known as agreement. A past consideration under Indian law is valid. Caveat emptor means purchaser be aware. Concessions as ad idem means meeting of the mind. Agreement in restraint of marriage is void. A tells B, shopkeeper gives Z the goods, I'll pay you, I'll see you paid. Contract is indemnity. A contract to perform the promise or discharge of a liability of a third person in case of his default is a contract of guarantee. He who does an act through another does it himself is a contract of agency. When a desire of promisor, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing something or does or abstains from doing something or promise to do or abstains from doing something proposal, such act or abstains of a promise is called consideration. X owes Y 20,000 but this debt is barred by limitation act. X executes a promissory note, a written promise to pay 15,000 rupees on account of debt. This is valid. When a negotiable instrument is delivered conditionally or for a special purpose as a collateral security or for safe custody only and not for the purpose of transferring absolute property, therein it is called escrow. Which one of the following is a promissory note when A signs the instrument? I promise to pay B or order 10,000 rupees on demand. Transfer of property act applies to transfer to inter vivos. A transfers property of which he is the owner to B in trust for A and his intended wife successfully for their lives and after death of survivor. For the eldest son of the intended marriage for life and after his death for a second son. Interest so created for the benefit of eldest son does not take effect. A transfer of an interest in specific immovable property for the future of securing the payment of money advanced or to be advanced by way of loan and existing or future debt or performance of an engagement which may give rise to pecuniary liability is called mortgage. A lease of immovable property from year to year or for any year exceeding 1 year can be made only by a registered instrument. Specific performance of a contract can be ordered at discretion of court when act agreed to be done is such that compensation in money for non-performance will not give sufficient relief. Under Section 9 of the Specific Relief Act, person against whom the relief is claimed may plead way of defense any ground which is available to him under any law relating to contract. The following contract cannot be specifically enforced: a contract the performance of which involves the performance of continuous duty which the court cannot supervise. A sells a TV to a minor who pays for it by means of check. A sells a TV to a minor who pays for it by means of a check. A endorses the check to X. X takes in good faith and for value the check was dishonored. X can enforce payment against A only. Who is the authority to prescribe the qualification and disqualification from membership of Bar Council? Bar Council of India. Indian Council of Legal Aid and Advice versus BCA case deals with the issue of prescribing age bar on enrollment of advocates. For transfer of a role from one state to another, application is made in Bar Council of India. Which of the following committee cannot be constituted by State Bar Council Legal Education Committee? In which year and by an amendment of the Code of Civil Procedure, Section 89 has been included in the code, which gives importance to mediation, conciliation, and arbitration. 2002. Under Arbitration and Conciliation Act, arbitration agreement may be in the form of arbitration clause in a contract only. A decision by arbitral tribunal that the control is null and void shall non entail ipso jure the invalidity of the arbitration clause. The arbitral tribunal shall not be bound by Code of Civil Procedure Code 1908 or Indian Evidence Act 1872. Claim made by the defendant in a suit against the plaintiff is a counterclaim. Interpleader suit is dealt in which of the following section of the CPC 88? As required by Section 80 CPC, the suit can be instituted after the expiry of 2 months of notice. Under Section 22 of the CPC, rejection of a plaint is a deemed decree. Rathkar versus State of Bombay is a popular case on the point of doctrine of Cyprus. Pick out the case under Section 58, subsection 1A, in which arrest to detention in civil prison is not maintainable. A judgment dated where decretal amount does not exceed 2,000 rupees. Okay. Percept seeks to prevent alienation of property of the judgment debtor. R90 of the Order 21 deals with post-sale irregularities causing substantial injury to judgment debtor. The place of suing in a suit for partition will be court within whose jurisdiction the immovable property is situated. Appeal against a decree or order can be filed in a high court within 90 days. Where before expiration of a prescribed period for a suit or application in respect of property or right and acknowledgement of liability in respect of such property or right has been made in the writing signed by party against whom such property or right is claimed by or by any person through whom he derives his title or liability. A fresh period of limitation shall be computed from time when acknowledgement was signed. The period of limitation for an act by a principal against his agent for a movable property received by the latter and not accounted for is 3 years. Which of the following is a ground recognized under the Companies Act for automatic adjournment of general meeting? Quorum of the meeting is not present. Which of the following meeting can be called by members? Extraordinary general meeting. Which of the following powers can be exercised by board of directors without holding a meeting? Power to appoint of additional director. Which of the following is not a ground for compulsory winding up? Non-holding of annual general meeting. Putting or attempting to put a person in fear of death or grievous hurt in order to commit extortion is dealt under 387 IPC. F invited C to have a fix of his heroin. Each filled his own syringe and injected each other several times one night. Next morning, F died on question. C must be convicted of manslaughter. Manslaughter. Literally, mes rea means all of the above. That is, guilty mind, guilty or wrongful purpose, criminal intent, a guilty knowledge, and willfulness. In which of the following cases, mens rea is not an essential ingredient for offences under Revenue Act, public nuisance, criminal case, which are in summary mode. Actus non fac reum nisi mens sit rea means intent and act must both occur to constitute the crime. Cheating and thereby dishonestly inducing delivery of property or the making alteration or destruction of valuable security is dealt under 420. Etymologically, what is meant by jurisprudence? Knowledge of law. What is meant by term general law? It consists of general ordinary law of land, and it consists of those legal law which are taken judicial notice by court. According to theory of social utilitarianism as propounded by hearing, law is meant to social ends. A is the mother of B. She becomes a widow and remarries. B dies. Can A succeed to him as mother? Yes. Referring to Section 6 of the Hindu Minority in Guardianship, the Supreme Court observed that rewards after him does not mean after the life of time of father. Indeed, it means in the absence of if the father is non-functional as a guardian for various reasons like indifference, physical, mental, or mental incapacity away from the place where the child lives with mother. By mutual understanding, it may be treated as absence of the father, in which case, in Gita Hariharan case. By a recent amendment, daughter of a co-parcer by birth becomes a co-parcer in her own right in the same manner as son. Which amendment? Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005. Shamim Ara versus State of UP relates to condition precedent for a Muslim husband for entering divorce is the pronouncement of divorce, which has to be proved on evidence. The provision under Industrial Dispute Act 1947, which guarantees the right of workmen lead of to claim for compensation. Section 25C. The number of persons required to form trade unions. 7. The temporary closing of the workplace or suspension of the work at workplace by the employer is known as lockout. Which of the following acts has a direct relevance for grievance handling practices? Industrial Dispute Act, Factories Act, Industrial Employment Act. Section 10 of the Industrial Dispute Act refers to voluntary reference of dispute to arbitration. Wages under Workmen's Compensation Act includes any privilege or benefit which is capable of being estimated in money. Writ of certiorari is issued against lower courts or quasi-judicial bodies. Odi alterum partum means here the other side. Second Administrative Reform Commission is constituted in 31st August 2005. Type of damages awarded in law of torts is unliquidated damages. HB versus White is an example of injuria sine damnum. The Supreme Court of India invoked the principle of absolute liability on enterprise carrying the business with hazardous and inherently dangerous toxic chemicals in Sriram fertilizer case. Res ipsa loquitur means thing speaks for itself. A motorcycle with engine capacity not exceeding 50 cc may be driven in a public place by a person after attaining the age of 16. According to Consumer Protection Act, the National Commission shall have jurisdiction over complaints where value of goods, if any, exceeds 20 lakhs. New states are created in Article 3 of the Indian Constitution. Doctrine of pleasure with reference to civil servants is mentioned in Article 310. Right to know flows from one of the articles is under Article 19. Freedom of trade, commerce, intercourse throughout the territory of India is mentioned under Article 301. Passive euthanasia under circumstances is permissible, held in the case of Aruna Ramchandra Shainbag versus Union of India. It was held in Supreme Court that balance between fundamental rights and directive principle of state policy is the bedrock and basic structure of the constitution, in which case Minerva Mills versus UI, KC Gajapati Narayan Deo versus State of Orissa is often quoted with reference to doctrine of colorable legislation. Raja Rampal versus Honorable Speaker Lok Sabha deals with privilege of legislature. Under Article 1 of the Constitution, India, that is Bharat, shall be Union of States. A minister ceases to hold office if he does not become a member of legislature within 6 months is mentioned in Article 164, subsection 4.